Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is April 18th, 2021. Howard, how is your crypto portfolio doing?
Good. I mean, it's Sunday morning. What are we, April?
18th.
What used to be tax weekend is now deferred. Like everything in life, deferred, pushed. It's a good time to hoard assets, but a little Saturday night crypto panic going on. All kinds of rumors about mining operations down in China, the government going to look into some exchanges behavior. So we had a big sell-off in some of the cryptos, but basically back to last week's prices. So what are you seeing in the markets? Let's get going.
Let me share my screen. Okay. So basically the large cap indices just continue to make new all-time highs. The S&P, Dow Jones, the Nasdaq 100. In the meantime, small caps are basing. They're kind of going sideways. They've been going sideways since February, which is not a bad sign after the big move since November, since the announcement of the first emergency approval of a vaccine. Mm-hmm. And so overall in the indices, the action is constructive. What's going on under the surface? That's another question. Most of the well-known and most popular momentum leaders from last year have been under pressure. Mm-hmm. They went up a lot, and it's something normal for a typical momentum stock to give up 50 to 80% or more of its upside move. So what we're seeing there is not something unusual. We're talking about the solar sector and the electric vehicles, everything with the exception of Tesla has been under, big pressure. Even though here the solar sector is kind of starting maybe to flatten out, and maybe if it goes sideways a little bit more, it might set up for a bounce. Mm-hmm. But that's a different question. We're entering a new earnings season. It started last week with financials reporting. This week we have Netflix, Snapchat, Chipotle, and after that we have the big tech. And typically during earnings season, we see more choppiness, more range-bound action. So this is what I kind of expect to happen again in the next 4 to 5 weeks. Just instead of that slow grind higher, we'll probably see some more range-bound action in the indices as they digest the new earnings reports. Mm-hmm. The current leaders continue to be about the same. You have home builders, which continue. Wow. They move in a stair step. They usually have a big breakout and like 3-4 days of slight pullback consolidation, and then another breakout. They just continue to go higher.
Are rates coming back down, Evan?
Yes, a little bit. This is a big reason why we saw a rally in tech and weakness in financials recently. Uh-huh. Kind of, not really. And all the metal stocks, aluminum, steel, copper, gold, even gold and silver are also strong and waking up. Some say inflation expectation, others say expectations for infrastructure improvement in the U.S.
Yeah. So Alcoa, where's gold, USA, where's gold, is it finding a bottom here?
It's not looking amazing, but mm-hmm. it's kind of starting to...
like solar, it's looking like it's...
It stops selling off. Gold miners are looking better than gold. They're still below their 200 days, so I wouldn't be too excited about that. It's not a great momentum setup. Steel is looking better. in general in all time frame. A lot of steel stocks are kind of looking constructively. Yeah. And semiconductors, I think they're still consolidating after the big breakouts a couple weeks ago. I see some interesting setups in the space. It's getting tighter. And this one, Applied Materials, if it can hold its 20-day, we can have a proper breakout that would clear the past few days highs. That could be an entry signal. What else? There's been a lot of upside momentum recently in vaccine stocks, which we mentioned last week. So it's been mostly the mRNA vaccines. Look at the big moves in BioNTech, which is Pfizer basically, and mRNA, Moderna. But also the other one that is a protein-based vaccine, so it's a sympathy play. It's not really a fundamental play because
it could just be the idea that people are going to have to take more than one of these. Sorry, I got the sun here, exactly. Early morning sun in Coronado. It could just be like, hey man, there's going to be booster shots. And every 6 months you need a shot. Biotech itself is sold off, 30%. So the rotation continues, is what you're saying, but there's a lot of leadership. There's a lot of people calling for the end of the world tops this weekend. And they'll use the price action. And, if you look at February and you look at some of the tops in momentum stocks from biotech to electronic vehicle to SPACs, take a look at Virgin Galactic, SPCE. Oh, wow, the genetic stocks too, you're showing there.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of froth is coming out of the market quickly in some of these edge case stocks. Look at Open Door, OPEN. So these are like some of the SPACs that we're seeing some of the SPACs break 10 too. Metromile, which was another Chamath deal, broke 10. And insurance pay by mile type thing. So it should have been one of the more boring SPAC ideas, traded up to $20 and now trading below 10. Clover Health below. So we're seeing a lot of SPACs trade already below 10. And these are in the de-SPAC mode. So the short sellers are getting a little more emboldened. That's a good chart right there too. The IPOs have slowed down, at least the growth. The upward momentum. Is that below its 200-day? I don't know.
No, below its 50. Yeah.
Below its 50 days. So still very strong, still in big uptrends, just stalling out in a lot of places. And in the areas where there was froth, we could see another rotation out. And Coinbase, listen, it could be, the direct listing could be a short-term top. I don't think it's a major long-term top. But we're seeing sympathy plays in Binance down about 30% since Coinbase's IPO. I haven't looked at the token FTT. Hang on, let me just look at the FT token. FTX token. You
can share your screen too if you want.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm just looking it up. The FTX token. Listen, I can't, there's going to be a lot of news. And a lot of people yelling top over the next little while because, some bad price action. But old world stocks still continue to be strong, probably like you said, on low interest rates, infrastructure bills, spend. I think the big news this week will be, even though it'll probably just get shut down, Josh Hawley is going after big tech, saying any deal by the big tech will be turned down. So I think that's going to be the index to watch this week. Facebook's got a ton of deals, one of them including mine, that they bought a company called Customer of ours in our portfolio, and they're saying any deal put on by big tech will be shut down. So I think that's going to be the area to watch, and we'll see if the news about them regulating crypto exchanges is true or if it's just a blip in just a blip. I think I put up a podcast of Chris Dixon and Patrick O'Shaughnessy, Ivan, and I think what's interesting from what I learned from listening to this one, I love listening to Chris, is let me just try and get so you can see me.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is trying to understand, how NFTs and crypto are additive to the web. So if we pull back the chart of Google, I think my lesson this week that I'm learning is Google is kind of the internet. It's a bet on search. It's a bet on all the products they have that are built on top of the open protocol. And what Chris Dixon is saying is that blockchain, NFTs, decentralized finance are not competition to the FANG stocks and to the internet, but they're additive. They're protocols that extend the internet. So in that case, that may explain why Alphabet, like why Google and Facebook are actually rallying as crypto goes on. If we look at Apple, it pulled back, but it's now, it's rallying with crypto. If we look at Netflix, so we can see, there's just a lot of money. It's not coming out of the market. It's moving around, it's moving around violently. So there's probably some change of trends coming, but overall very strong still. And unless there's some macro event that we don't know about, and the government's always a wild card with this like tech bill that they put forward. If they go after the exchanges, there's always those type of risks, and people have to be factor that in why they take some profits along the way up. But I don't see it. I mean, the market looks. Are you seeing any short setups, or are you just seeing just long setups?
There's some short setups. It just depends if you want to play them. A lot of the former momentum leaders, they're breaking down or they're kind of setting up and looking weak. I mean, it doesn't make sense fundamentally, but for example, DraftKings is not looking that amazing if it breaks that level here.
I went to my first. It's interesting. I went to my first baseball game in a couple of years. They had 25% here in San Diego. It was actually really freezing at night there. A little known fact, but beautiful stadium. It was so loud. 25% full. They had a vaccine section as well. I wasn't in it, but they're moving people around a lot when you get season 2. I was there with my neighbor and his kids. And people want to get back. I mean, it was loud, right? It was a rivalry, Dodgers, Padres. But what's interesting about DraftKings and these companies is, as they rebuild these stadiums and as gambling becomes approved, they're probably going to put stuff, that's what I'm reading, on the back of these seats where you can bet on every play. And so, as the government needs money and as robots take over the world and as gambling and trading take off, and it's easy with wallets to bet from anywhere or transfer money from anywhere. It won't be as easy to get low margin, high margin, froth, not froth. It's not going to be so easy for kids to be interacting with DraftKings and Barstool and gambling sites like MGM the rest of their lives. So, and they may do it without the casinos, right? So it'll be even more margin. What will that mean for the casinos? I don't know, but gambling's evolving, and it's pretty fascinating what will happen as they repurpose, gambling into everything. The other thing is Coinbase and Robinhood, Ivan, still the number 1 and 2 apps, free apps in the App Store. So I don't know if it's the Coinbase IPO that brought that back to attention, but you've got GameStop, you've got Dogecoin, you've got crypto. But at the same time, you have home builders breaking out, semiconductors breaking out, metals breaking out, transportations, I think, are breaking out too. I don't know. Yeah. So again, I don't know. You can read. I like reading bearish pieces as much as the next guy. but there's not a
Well,
lot of
you
money.
should be worried if there are no bearish pieces. That's when you should be worried.
Yeah. For the strong as this market is, I'm reading a lot of end of the world stuff. And you know, and there's some signs that there's just silly out there, as I wrote about today, and you got to worry about the government, especially both these warring factions. But a lot of pullbacks that are viable. I look at marijuana, MSOS.
Yeah.
I would go MSOS, which is they're both in big pullbacks, and I'm like, that instant jubilation from the weed and the switch to Democratic Congress has disappeared, and now we're pretty much back to those moments. So there's some interesting setups possibly here, and I was talking to Todd Harrison. The Dogecoin the Dogecoin market cap is bigger than all of the whole cannabis industry right now. So there's a lot of silly money out there, printed, not printed, traded. But there's also a lot of great opportunity relative. This money's not coming out of the system. And so I can see a rotation back into some of these things that have pulled back. So I did buy some MSOS here on this pullback. There's no real signal here. You probably want to wait for strength, but I'm buying into this pullback. So that's all I got. Oh, eBay seems to finally close an all-time high. I've been tracking that one here. The other one I talked about recently was Spotify. I think they're moving to real time with buying Locker Room for sports. Kind of might have bottomed there the last 3-4 weeks, and now that they've gotten into live action or live audio, I think they have an answer for what do you call Clubhouse. The other thing I was going to say is Uber.
Yeah,
I think it had its best quarter. It's not in the transportation index, but if there was a stock I was going to speculate on, forgetting valuation, as we come out of COVID, very interesting setup.
Yeah.
Airbnb just looks to be in a range.
It's not very bad, but yeah, definitely Uber and Lyft are looking constructively at this point.
Anyways, that's it. Have a great weekend, Ivan.
All right, looking forward.
Thanks, everybody.